Hey, welcome to SingleStore's The No Show. We have a really exciting conversation coming up for you next about leveling up your data game. I'm Lisa Martin, technology correspondent, and if you're a gamer or if somebody in your family is or you're interested in it, stick around. This is a very interesting conversation with a couple of gentlemen from Gameloft. Please welcome Marian Nicolae, BI Manager, and Alex Voinescu, BI Technical Manager. Marian, Alex, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks a lot for inviting us. Good to be here.
And I know it's
Hi,
late.
thank you
you guys are in France, so we appreciate you guys logging in and helping us have an interesting conversation. So Marian, I'd like to start with you. Talk to the audience about Gameloft, what you guys do, what games you deliver, and all that good stuff.
Okay, cool. So Gameloft is a Vivendi company. We are a leading games developer with a strong focus on the mobile industry, but we are also present on other platforms like console or TV. Some of our popular games include the Modern Combat franchise. Maybe you heard of it. It's a shooter. Minion Rush, which is one of the most downloaded mobile game of all time. It's actually in the top 5 games. Or the Asphalt series, which is a racing game who has recently surpassed the 1 billion downloads milestones. So a few key figures about Gameloft. We have over 250 games across the different stores. There are over 80 million users playing our games each month, and each day there are other 1.5 million users downloading our games. So these are just a few figures to understand a bit the volumes of data that our users are generating and what we have to crunch in order to obtain some valuable insights into our games.
And we're going to dig into some of those data volumes in a second. Alex, I wanted to, before we get into that, I wanted to mention that something that I saw. Juniper Research was saying that the gaming industry is going to be a $132 billion in total revenue by 2021. We know that is around the corner. And I can only imagine that there are more folks playing games worldwide during the pandemic because people have less time to commute and things like that. But Alex, talk us through the data volumes in terms of how you were managing that, the volumes of data under management, an example of different data sources, as Marian talked about, the gaming consoles for mobile, for consoles as well.
Yeah, so basically our main data source are the game in itself. And there are 275 of them. Each Gameloft game sends telemetry data to our servers, and this data goes to an ingestion pipeline, and then it's stored on our data lake. But think of it like this: we ingest over 3 billion events per day, and each game has over 100 data points that are analyzed by our clients. So overall, as raw data, we have over 1.5 petabytes of data in all the systems. Other sources would include sales and user acquisition data, external partners, third-party data, and so on. But the main source of data is the game itself.
And Marian, one of the things that I think in any industry, but probably particularly gaming, is that there's very demanding consumer on the other end that wants things and opportunities in real time. So managing, as Alex was saying, 1.5 petabytes of data was challenging before. Tell me a little bit about kind of the gamer expectations and even the developer expectations to be able to develop the technologies quickly, Marian. What was that like?
Well, the gamer expectations are constantly evolving. As you said, it's a very dynamic market, and our users are expecting a lot from our games. The games are not as they used to be before, like a standalone application that you publish once and you never touch it again. The games right now are pretty much services. They are continually improved. We need to add new things to our games, to add new content for the users to continue to be engaged in our games. So this is pretty much the expectations that our users have. And in order to raise up to these expectations, we need to understand their behavior and try to improve the game in the direction that our users want to.
So Alex, let's go over to you. And I do want to encourage the audience, if you have any comments or questions about games, Gameloft, how they're managing data, drop us a comment or a question in the LinkedIn live chat feature, and we will address it here. Alex, I would like to go to you now. Let's talk about some of the challenges with respect to managing that data, being able to adjust in real time to meet the demands of the consumer and probably other demands of internal stakeholders like marketing folks, developers. How were you managing that volume of data before?
So before we deployed SingleStore, we had MySQL cluster, a community edition cluster made up of 16 servers with a custom MapReduce process and also an aggregation process. Basically, this MySQL cluster offered aggregated data to the clients that wanted that data. The problem with it was that it was slowly getting slow, and we had a delay of over 8 hours from the time the data was ingested to the time the data was delivered to the clients. So we were really looking for a solution to reduce that to real-time level for some of our data points. The real time for us means under 10 minutes.
So challenges there, being able to evaluate your key performance indicators, your KPIs in near real time. I also imagine the inability to be able to capture or capitalize on a micro moment when somebody is interacting with the game and you have you want to deliver the right offer, the right upgrade, the right whatever it is at the right time. And as you were talking about before, delays in the analytics pipeline. So one of the things I think of too when you say that is, I think, well, competitors, right? It's a competitive advantage to be able to access the data, analyze it, and act on it to satisfy your customers, because competitors are going to be working on the same thing. So Alex, talk to us about the technology solution that you put together with SingleStore and some of the things that you're achieving.
So basically, when we deployed SingleStore, it was a huge change in the time the data that it took for the data to reach the clients. So we went for 12 hours to 10 minutes because SingleStore really allowed us to do fast queries on directly the raw data that we had. Before that, we needed to aggregate, to crunch the data, and that process took a lot of time. With SingleStore, this changed, and we were able to deliver data way more quickly than before.
Alex, talk to me a little bit more about what was the process like of actually replacing, you said the 16 servers, MySQL with SingleStore. What was that process like? How long did it take? How quickly were you able to actually go from the 12 hours of delay to 5 to 10 minutes?
Well, it took some time. I don't quite remember how much, but I think a couple of months. But considering the data volumes that we had, it's really a good time to upgrade, and the changes were fabulous.
We like to hear that. Marian, I want to ask you to kind of dig in a little bit more to your internal clients, the designers, the gamers, the product marketing managers. What are they able to achieve now that you can give them fast access, fast queries, fast access to data? What are they doing now to be able to fine-tune the business?
Oh, okay, so in order to better explain our use case and how we leverage SingleStore, I think I need to give you a bit of a background of the type of data that we are working with here in Gameloft. So in our games, the users are doing a lot of actions, whether it's finishing a race or winning a multiplayer match or buying something for the store or whatever. So all these important actions inside the game are tracked on our side, and they help us for two specific use cases. The first use case is operational statistics that are allowing us to run the game. And the second use case, it allows us to go deeper into the game and understand the user behavior, and based on that to decide how to improve the monetization of the game, the level design, the economy design, and so on. So Singular helped us for the first use case, for the operational statistics that are actually helping the various profiles from Gameloft in order to better see the results of their activities. For instance, the product is not tailored to a single team specifically. It's pretty much all of the roles inside the game team can access this data, and depending on the type of job that they are doing, take some decision based on that data. The game managers can check the health of the game. The marketing managers can check how many new users we are bringing in our games. The product manager can check the live campaigns that are happening or the time limited events, and so on. The examples can continue.
From a campaigns perspective, I'm curious, Marian, what can campaign managers do now that they couldn't do before? I imagine, again, I think, near real time, being able to see what your users are doing to offer them something that's going to retain them, get them, make it stickier. What can the marketing folks do now or see now that they couldn't see before?
So right now they have better control of analyzing their results, and they can fine tune their campaigns much sooner than they were able to in the past. So right after you are creating a campaign and you are pushing that campaign live, you can already start to check the results of that campaign. You can already analyze if the revenues are increasing, if the users are playing more a certain time limited event, and if not, if you notice negative effects, you can react on the spot and try to go back to the configuration of that campaign, analyze the cohort of users that you are targeting in order to make sure that you're not excluding by mistake a certain population. You can expand the cohort, or you can improve the offer that you are promoting in that campaign in case it's not acting up to your expectations.
So Marian, sticking with you for another second, if we think about that statistic that I mentioned in the beginning, that Juniper Research says that by 2021, around the corner from now, the gaming industry is going to be 132 billion in total revenue. Are you seeing technologies like SingleStore as essential to help companies like Gameloft be a part of that and be able to maximize your revenue?
Absolutely. Having access to the data this fast and being able to crunch a huge amount of data in a matter of seconds is critical to the success of these games.
And Alex, over to you. In terms of the technology challenges that you've eliminated with SingleStore, give us an idea of where you think Gameloft will be able to go. You've got this technology foundation. You've got the ability to analyze a tremendous volume of data very quickly for the internal users, the external users. What's next for Gameloft?
Well, I think being able to crunch all that data in such a short time basically gives us a real-time operational advantage in the market, and it also enables more use cases for the clients of the data. What
would some of those use cases potentially be? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm not sure. I can say that anti-hacking can use it. Game managers can see their game stats in real time, like the daily active users, the retention. So really, being able to have fast data is quite important for all of the game related departments in the company.
And Marian, take us out with really understanding some of the things that the company cannot do. For example, now that you have the solid technology foundation and data store with SingleStore, are your internal folks able to spend more time, or the developers able to spend more time developing and tweaking games or developing more games because they don't have to worry about managing this data or getting slow access to adjust things?
So I don't think that it impacts that much the development process, because they are quite separate departments. The roles that are creating the games and the roles that are trying to monetize those games. So it won't save production time for our games, but for sure the people that are monetizing the games and that are trying to bring users to our games, the marketing teams are much better equipped right now to do their jobs with the single store data that we have.
And I can only imagine, again, as I said a few minutes ago, during this very unusual year, I only imagine there's more people gaming, having more time to do that. And so having the foundation that you can already deliver on that and enable those internal stakeholders, Marian, that you talked about, to have access to that data, to make decisions that are personalized based on what the user might want to do, is only going to help the business going forward into 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a weird year in all aspects, and our industry was a fortunate industry because people stayed indoors, and in this time, what could they do? They played more, they watched more TV. So yeah, we noticed in our data a spike of users when the pandemic started, and it was really no problem in treating this spike in users and in data with the current systems that we have.
Well, I'm not a gamer, but if I was, and I'll say thank you on behalf of all of the gamers globally for doing what it is that you're doing, allowing these folks to be able to have this as an outlet. It's incredibly important. And I guess I would say for parents, if your kids are gamers and it bothers you, this is a good outcome of what's going on this year. Marian, Alex, thank you for joining us on the No Show today and sharing what Gameloft is doing.
Thanks as well, Lisa.
Thank you.
My pleasure. And I would just want to say one more thing to our audience. Go to the SingleStore website and you'll find a blog that has more detail on what Gameloft is doing with the technology. Really interesting kind of double click there into the workflows and the data flows. So with that said, we want to thank you for watching. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you on the next The No Show.